it's going to be okay. Or it's not. I don't know.
Presenting His Eminence, our imperious leader.
My fellow Cylons, it is indeed a great honor to dedicate this southern center of Cylon culture to the advance of and perfection of the Cylon race. With this secure outpost deep in the heart of the Krillian star system, our supremacy is all but assured. What, pray tell, was that?
There go the bunkers.
Find out, before I have you scavenged for spare parts.
Well, this is one that will be shown time and time again. Ryan Rager at 2, and the first problem is Hunter Powell at 3 stumbles, and they, oh goodness. So it's Ryan Rager at 2 who stumbles, and then Hunter Powell can't get in either. Hunter with the black helmet, he gets knocked out. Ryan Rager trying to hold himself into the sled. And then what does Caleb Fernell do? Well, he bails.
These young recruits grew up in a country that had abandoned national service. Soon, many of those born in 2008 may have to embrace it. In a few weeks, a generation of young Germans will receive a letter asking if they're prepared to serve in the military. Females do not have to respond. Males must. Those who agree will enter the armed forces in 2027. Marty Dorman is an 18-year-old student who coaches at his local football club in his spare time. While he won't be getting an official letter, he says he wouldn't serve anyway.
Right now, I don't feel ready to go to the army, because I don't understand why I should be dragged into these political crises, into the violent fantasies of others by politicians.
You know the world's going to shit.
Let me put this in words you might understand. Mr. President, fuck off. Det var næsten sådan ordene lød, da jeg for et år siden stod på den selv samme talerstol.
US President Donald Trump on Sunday argued that taking over Greenland is necessary for the US to prevent Russia or China from gaining control of the Arctic territory. He said, and I quote, "We are talking about acquiring, not leasing, not having it short term. If we don't do it, Russia or China will." What is China's comment?
北极涉及国际社会的整体利益。中国在北极的活动旨在促进北极的和平稳定和可持续发展，符合国际法。各国依法在北极开展活动的权利和自由应当得到充分尊重。美国谋取私利，不要拿其他国家当借口。
And finally, Michelle, I wanted to ask you about another topic. 1 month has now passed since Congress's deadline for the Justice Department to release all files on the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. But the DOJ says it's made available less than 1% of those files. And you see, many people are saying, is he going after Minneapolis, saying he's going to take Greenland, taking the president of Venezuela and possibly threatening to bomb Iran to take attention away? Could that be it? You see a sensitivity at the Dearborn auto plant when a worker yelled, pedophile protector, and he turned around and gave him the finger and mouthed the words, F you, but said the curse?
Mr. President, fuck off.
Well, it's certainly inconsistent with what were the campaign promises. The campaign promises to those who supported Trump and those who didn't was that the files would be released. All of the files. Now, that's not happened. So, and that's critically important. Now, you've raised, is this all a distraction so that because the files are not being released? Well, it certainly does raise those very important questions, and even more so, the fact that there are victims and survivors out there and including those who've committed suicide who are no longer with us, such as Virginia Giuffre. And it's a neglect of what was promised. It raises some very serious questions about what remains in the Epstein files, and Americans want to know and deserve to know, and what has been released, and some of which people have been able to undo the redactions of those. It's incredibly alarming. It very much is. And it's a travesty because behind it all, what it suggests is that the federal government is unwilling to do what is necessary in order to protect young people from sexual violence. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what this truly is about.
This was the Two Tiny Tots getting covered in snow production 2026.